All right, so today we're talking about funnel speed. So let me hop into an account here, and I'm going to, once this loads up, head on over to a funnel that I pulled out of a snapshot, I believe. Come on. Oh, am I still logged into somebody else's account? Let's see here. Here we go. All right, so let's hop down here. And we're going to go funnels and websites, funnels. And here I've got this auto funnel here. So I set it up on this subdomain, vw dot, this domain that I have, demo high level, slash last year blowout. So let's open this up. And let's first go run a score on this. So let's go GT matrix, metric speed, and let's throw this in here and see where we're at. Now, when we're talking about page speed, there's a lot of really technical things that go into it in the code level that high level is already taken care of. So we're not going to go that side of things. We're just going to talk about some of the small things that we can control as marketers if we're not developers and we're just building pages in high level. So, hey, Aaron, what's happening? Let's
Hey, what's up?
Load this up, and this is going to, happy Friday. This is going to give us this huge report that measures a lot of technical things, right? But you can see we're looking pretty good on a lot of that stuff that high level's already taken care of for us. What we're not looking good at is over here, we've got a fully loaded time of 10 seconds, right? And so that's obviously really long. That's way too long for people to be waiting around for a page to load. So let's see what we can do to knock this down. So the first thing that always comes to mind for me is image sizes. So here we've got this beautiful, huge banner image, right? And I'm on a big screen. So like, let me put this back down to what it would look like on a normal screen here. All right, so let's check this out. Let's hop in to edit this page here. Peter, happy Friday, dude. Okay, so let me click this. Let's go down and check out this background image. So let's grab the link of this and let's open it up. All right, this is a big image, right? Boom, look how big it really is. It's gigantic, okay? So we can definitely do some work on this. So I'm gonna download that. I think I already have actually. No, I deleted it. All right, so let me right click. Let's save this image. We'll call it VW. And I'm going to show you a couple of ways to do this. First, if you have Photoshop, oh, I'm going to need to share my whole screen for you guys to see this thing up. This is one of the coolest lessons that I learned early in my marketing career. When you save an image, basically you can reduce the size of it, meaning the actual pixels, like the size of the image. But an image also has a weight. So while we're waiting for that to load up, if I click on this image that I just saved, over here, it's going to show me the details, right? So the dimensions of this image are 3,200 pixels by 1,800 pixels. That's a really big image. But the weight of the image is right here. And this is kilobytes, I guess? Peter, anybody correct me if I'm wrong? Kilobytes, okay, right? KBs. 836 isn't gigantic for an image that big, but it's still bigger. It's still heavier, I would say, than we want it to be. Generally, I like to get things down to as close to 200 or less. So I always use Photoshop because I've been using Photoshop for years, but we'll talk about another way to do this. It's, I think, a little easier here. And let me drag this down. All right. When we look at an image size, here's the size of it, right? First of all, I don't need this to be 3,200 pixels wide. There's no need for it to be that huge. So I'm going to bring this down to like 1,500 pixels. So now when I go to save it, normally you just save things, right? And if I do that, it's going to save and it's going to use the full weight of the image. But within Photoshop, you can do something called save for web. And I just do this shortcut on my keyboard. Let me see if I can do it from the browser here. File. Save. Sorry, I always just do the keyboard shortcut. So it's Shift Alt Command on a Mac, save. And when you do that, you can then reduce the weight of the image. So you can see here I have the quality at 72. This was amazing to me when I learned this, that you can take the quality way down. And look, you can't even distinguish that a change was made, right? Like just to your eye, you can't tell the difference, right? But look at how much the weight is changing. So right now I have it down to below 200, which is awesome. This is 30% of the original weight, but the picture still looks great, right? Especially if I'm going to layer a color over it, an opacity in high level. So I'm going to go ahead and click save on that. And let's just call it VW2. Okay. And again, if I go and compare these two, this one had a weight of, now it's up to a megabyte. Somehow it just got a little heavier. And this one is 200 kilobytes, right? So that's a huge reduction in weight. And that's definitely going to have a positive effect on our speed. So the other way to do this would be, I think it's called like a tiny PNG.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try this out. I never used this, but somebody said it works great. So let's do the same thing. Let's open up our original one. Okay. Panda just saved you 59%. So this is going to spit out at 600. That's still way heavier than the one I made in Photoshop, right? So this is cool because it did reduce it. But this is still heavier than I would like to use. So, you know, if you don't know how to use Photoshop, this is a nice tool. It looks like it's free. But I'm going to use the one that I did in Photoshop that made the image way lighter. So let's come back. Go ahead.
The reason why you have that size discrepancy a little bit, because tiny PNG will optimize to compress the file size as much as it can before it loses quality.
The other thing is I reduced the pixels of the image in Photoshop before I reduced the weight. So this is taking that image, the huge 3000 pixel version one, right? So
right. Yeah, Tiny's not adjusting the pixels. So
can you edit the size in Tiny before you do the weight?
No. I use Canva. I put it in Canva, make the right size, download it, then put it in Tiny PNG. That you could probably take your Photoshop one now and put it in Tiny PNG and maybe get it even a little bit smaller.
Yeah,
maybe. Let's see.
The other thing that we do is we don't take them down to 1500. We keep all images 1920 by 1080. If it's parallax, it's like 2200 by 1200 or 1400.
Okay.
Because parallax images, they zoom in, so you need a little bit of extra real estate. And then we go save for web and we compress it as much as we possibly can, like exactly like you just showed too.
Good to know, and that's a good point. I never really knew what the official, so 1900 is what you would typically use for a background banner?
Well, we do the 1920 by 1080 because most screen sizes are the 15-inch or 17-inch. So that allows us to have like the top bottom, you know, when you land on the page and the whole image takes up everything before you scroll.
Yeah.
Then we can put custom CSS that we want the minimum height to be 1080. So it takes up full screen. If we're doing anything parallax, I think if you go 2200, I think most images will resize 2200 by 1200 or 2200 by 1400.
Yeah, I'm skipping parallax because I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go 1920, right? We're going to use Peter's suggestion. At 30%, I can get it down to 300. So that's still pretty good. So let's call this one VW3, and we'll use that one.
Yeah, most people don't realize that these images start adding up.
Totally.
You want your page speed be higher? Get rid of images and videos.
Yeah, and this page has some things that I wouldn't generally want to do, but I'll show you in a sec. Okay, so we just replaced that background image there. And again, look, I have this half faded opacity in front of it, so my text pops better. So the detail of that image, I could probably even go below 30% in this case to make it even lighter, and you visually wouldn't be able to tell the difference, right? So this page has a bunch of other images on here. So let's see what this one's at. This will be the only other image
For
that
the
I
moving
do.
stuff, you're using a GIF, I'm assuming, on one of those images?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll call this one VW interior. Let's throw it in here, see what we get.
There's a comment from James that Riot is also a great app, gives you lots of additional optimization. Great to know. I actually didn't know about Riot, so thanks for sharing, James.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. They have like 4 or 5 different optimization engines, and you can change color ranges and all that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it gives you it's an app on the computer, but it's really cool.
Awesome. Throw that URL in the chat if you haven't already.
Sure.
So this image, so here's something that I like to do too, and this might be a good tip for people. So there's no, for me, an image like this, it's not a full width image, right? So I really only need the image to be as big as this column width is at a maximum, right? So to determine that, I'm gonna right click here and inspect it. So Chrome's gonna give me this developer inspection tool here. So with this image selected, right, and if you need to reselect it, you just grab the pointer. You can come over here and click computed, and it's going to show me the dimensions of that section, right? So 1110 is what the width of this column is at. So I'm just going to go back to my image and reduce it down to 1110 because I don't need any of that excess. Okay, and now I'm going to save it for web again, and let's see, I can get this down to, so when this was up at 100, it was 376. And I'm going to drag this down to, and that was too far. Let's take it down to 40. Yeah, that looks good. So that's under 100, so that's good. So we'll call this VW Interior 2. Okay, we'll come back here and we'll replace this image here. Okay, great. These are looping GIFs, right? Super cool, but they can often be heavy, especially if the size of the image in pixels is big. I'm just going to leave these here because let's say I'm like okay with the trade-off. I think the value of the effect of the looping GIF is worth the wait, so that's cool. So I'm not going to optimize anymore. Like this one's a little big too. That makes me a little nervous, but we'll leave it there for now. So I'm not going to optimize any more images. So let's talk about the next thing on my list here. Google Maps. Google Maps will kill your page load if you're using the embed script from the map. So right here, this is like, it's cool because you can scroll around in it, I guess, right? But this is killing my page load. So we are actually building an integration that will be a new element in the builder for maps that will handle this so that you can still use a real map, but it won't affect your load so badly. What I do is I just do a hack. So put it on the page, screenshot it, right? Boom. Boom. Okay. Now these were embedded embed codes, right? So I'm going to ditch those. And now I'm just going to use images. And again, I could go reduce the size of these images to get them down. I'm not going to go crazy because these are pretty small, but let's go grab these. Where did they go? Desktop. Here we go. Here's one of them. And we'll grab another one. Here, upload. Okay, cool. And then what I would do is I would link those to the Google map, right? So if you go maps.google.com, and I just searched like VW dealer Philadelphia. And I just clicked on one. So you click it, right? And then you get the share link. So grab the share link, take that back, click the image, go to a website URL, paste the link, and always open in a new tab, right? Because if you're sending people to a landing page that has a link on it, you don't want them to go open that new thing and not be on your landing page anymore, right? So you always want to open it into a new tab. So let's just do the same thing for this one. Let's assume we had the other link, open in a new tab. Okay, great, boom, done. So that's the Google Maps hack. Next is Flash Funnels. Flash Funnels, we talked about this. It's technically out of beta, although we didn't really make a big announcement about it because there were no problems in beta. So everybody is welcome to set up Flash Funnels right now. And the way that we do it is simply, let me duplicate this here.
Chase, will we have to change our DNS in the long run to Flash no matter what, or is that going to move over to the original domain?
That's a good question. I don't know if the old one will persist, but I would just do it. Okay. So basically, I already have this domain set up. What's the page? I put it live on a domain here. So I don't need to go back into my domain settings, but just to reiterate what's going on here, right? We're talking settings, domains. Here's my subdomain here. And when you're creating it, it tells you to point the CNAME to it, right? So I don't know why that didn't load up.
Don't you have to add a new domain?
I would say, James.
Oh, no, I already added it here.
I would
Go
say,
ahead, Peter.
Safe side, move it over to Flash Funnels and just make sure your DNS records are correct.
Yeah, so to do this, I'm going to hop into Cloudflare where I'm managing the DNS of this domain.
I only ask because I want to make sure that you're not going to get rid of Flash Funnels domain and it just goes back to where we are now. So
I see what you're saying. No, I think it'll stay at Flash.
Okay, cool.
So when I set this one up, I have this wildcard set up, so I didn't have to make one specifically for this. So I'm just going to go edit my wildcard. And all you need to do to switch to Flash Funnels is just put Flash dot in front of what was there before. So if I were doing one of the ones that I set up as a one-off, like Cairo, it looks like I pointed a subdomain for Cairo, I would just put Flash dot before what's right here, hit save. And now this is going to use the new CDN. So a CDN, Cloudflare is a CDN, basically have servers all over the world. When you use Cloudflare, it takes a copy of all your website files, puts them on all those servers, and now if somebody in Australia goes to my site, it serves it up from whatever server is closest to them geographically. It does a lot of other cool stuff that's way over my head, but it speeds pages up. And so that's why we've got Flash Funnels set up now. So that's how we do Flash Funnels. The last one is Google Tag Manager. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but I highly suggest as a marketer, you spend time learning Google Tag Manager because it really is the right way to do things. So let me go back to my funnel. Here's what I'm talking about. So this is
I started learning about that about a month ago. It's amazing.
Totally. It's
like,
worth the investment. Yeah. So here's like a typical scenario, right? On this page, I have in my header code, I have a Google Analytics tag, right? Script. I've got a Facebook pixel here. And then in the footer side, I have the Google or the high-level chat widget. You might have even more scripts, right? Depending on what's going on and what you're trying to do. Google Tag Manager, the more scripts you add, the slower your site's going to load. Tag Manager, what it does is it gives you a container to put all of your scripts in, and then you're just loading one script on your page. That one script, everything happens inside of, and so it's a great way to reduce load, but it's also a better way to keep yourself organized as a marketer. So let's go to, I haven't even set this up. So let's go Google Tag Manager. Okay, I'm going to create an account. I'm just going to call it Chase Demos. Great. Container setup is going to be, now do I put my vw.demo high level? I'm assuming I need to put the subdomain. Yeah, it looks like that was right. Accept the terms. Okay. So now these are the only scripts that I need to put. So I'm going to copy this one. It's telling me to paste this as high in the head as I can. So let's go here. I'm going to put it at the bottom because I'm going to delete the ones above it as I go. Okay, so we'll save that. And now it wants me to do the body tag after the opening body. And now, Peter, maybe you could help me out with this because, oh, you know what? I'm doing them in the wrong place.
I was gonna say I would set them up at the funnel level. I wouldn't set them up here, so that way you don't have to like keep editing. And I would actually remove the pixel code if you have it there, and I would put everything in the container.
Yeah,
one thing
that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, one thing that's really important if you're gonna be using GTM is make sure that you set your firing priority to the way you want it to fire, so that way you don't have like a lead tracking code firing off before the main pixel code firing off, because that's going to screw up and not actually track things properly.
So yeah, let's talk about that when we go add some stuff in a second here. So basically we're moving back to the funnel settings, right? I was putting those into the page settings, but where you want your tag manager is in the funnel settings. So it's on every page. And then in tag manager, you control what pages things fire on. So here's my Google Tag Manager container scripts, right? This is all I'm going to have to set up when it comes to scripts now. Okay, so I've got that. Okay. And now I can start adding tags, right? So my default container is set. So let's add some tags. So the first tag that I want to get rid of from within my funnel was that Google Analytics tag. Now, because, yep.
My sound is cut out, so I had to jump back in. So you may have already said this, but the other thing about Google Tag Manager I think is great is you only really need access to, say, your client's website or funnel one time. You just have to put this code in, as you're showing here, and then you can add things, take things out anytime you want.
Exactly.
Which makes
That's the same reason I love to use Cloudflare to manage domains, is because once you point it once, now you're in control. You can go do whatever you need to do when you need to do it without having to go back to the client and be like, do you remember your access codes? Do you have your login information? All that kind of stuff. So when it comes to adding Google products, they're already here, right? They've already built, this is ready to accept a Google Analytics script, right? So I'm adding universal tracking. I would just click this. Uh-oh, what just happened? Okay. I think I double clicked by accident. So let's add a new tag. We're going to click edit. We're adding a Google Analytics. Here we go. We want to track page views, right? And I always just leave this stuff by default, I think, here. Enable overriding, sure.
Yeah, you put your tracking ID. It all depends whether you have it connected or not.
Yeah, which I don't. I just set this one up.
See, like one thing, it's like I love, and I have a love-hate relationship with GTM because it really takes a little bit of time in the beginning for you to figure out how you want to set it up. So all you need is you need to grab that UA-17.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not letting me copy it right here, but let's throw this in somewhere where I can just grab it. So instead of needing the whole script now, because it's a Google product, they make it nice and easy. All I have to do is throw this in here. And do I need the UA? Let's assume I do. So I'm going to hit save, save tag, save. Okay. So now that one's not finished because it's not going to trigger, right? So when you open these up, there's 2 steps to it. There's the thing at the top, and then the trigger rules. So for Google Analytics, I want this to fire on all pages. So I'm just going to select all pages. And here you could add exceptions and things like that. And now this is where we get into sort of what Peter was talking about priorities and things like that. For Google Analytics, we just want it to fire on all pages. So I'm going to hit save. That one's done. It's showing me it's going to fire on all pages, right? So now let's see what else I have here. My Facebook script. So let's grab this whole thing. Okay. We're going to add a new tag. Click the pencil. I don't think they've added one for Facebook yet, right? Do they? They still hate Facebook? I don't think there's like a pre-built Facebook thingy here.
We have it as a custom HTML.
Yeah. So you just choose custom, you paste it in there. Fantastic. And here's where you can do priority, right?
Exactly. And that's exactly what we do. So we make sure that this is the highest possible number. And if you hover over the question mark, it will tell you tags with higher numbers for priority will be fired first. So we always set this at 100. And then we know that any other thing that we add, it always has to be lower than 100. So 99, 97, whatever, or even 54, 53, it doesn't matter. We just want to make sure that it's, yeah.
Okay, so then again, triggering, where do we want this to trigger? On all pages? Or just, let's say we just wanted it to fire on one page. You hit plus, and then you can configure like a custom, you can put in the URL, and it's only going to fire on that one page. That's not what we want though, because our Facebook pixel, we want to fire everywhere, right? So we're just going to pick all pages again. We're going to hit save. We'll call this Facebook pixel. Save. Okay, we've got 2 out of 3. Our last one was our high-level chat widget. So let's pull that out. We're going to add a new one again. Pencil, custom. Here we go. And like Peter's saying, let's make this one 99 to make sure it fires after our Facebook pixel. Hit save. Oh, we need to add our trigger. All pages, save, save. Okay, great. Now we've got everything set that's going to be in our container. We're going to hit submit, publish. You can give it a name, right? So Chase demo. Okay, great. Error at line 7. What's that? All right. So if this were an example, I would probably try to figure out what's going on there, but. Is it going to not let me publish or what? Validate workspace. Which one was that? Submit changes. Skip. Custom HTML. Oh, this might be because I grabbed this Facebook pixel isn't real. It might have something in here that's.
I don't think you have an ending. Oh, never mind. Just kidding.
I think it's saved anyway. It looks like it. So the way that we can test is, and there's like a Chrome extension to test things. Back when I used to do this, it was broken. Like it had a bug. So the way that you test is you go into preview mode. Validate container. Maybe I need to fix that. All right, I'm just going to remove this because
I think it's the custom HTML one that's the problem. The top one, not the Facebook pixel. Yeah.
Oh, the high level one.
Yeah, that's what it was saying.
Does it not like?
Yeah, you don't have an ending parentheses at the very end. You have a brace, but you need to add a parentheses at the end, right before the script ends. Line 6.
Yeah.
Add an ending parenthesis.
Like that? Or, I mean, like
that. There you go.
why is this not?
Can't quite see.
I didn't put the location ID in there. I thought I did. Anyway, all right, let's see if that gets to work. Submit, publish, continue. Okay, great. So now it's live, right? So let's go back to the workspace. I'm gonna hit preview. This is gonna turn on preview mode. So now when I go back to the page and I reload it, this thing's gonna pop up at the bottom from Tag Manager, and it's gonna show me all the tags that fired on this page, right? All 3 of my tags fired. That means my container's working. My tags are firing. They're all inside of one container now. So I've done a great job of minifying, reducing the amount of scripts that I have on this page. So let's go back, get out of preview mode. Okay. And now let's take our URL again and let's go back to GT metrics and let's see what happened.
Can I ask you about images when you get a minute?
Sure. Go for it.
Oh, so I just want to mention this. This might be useful for the group. Is there a feature, or could we add it to high level to do lazy load images? Because I think that would really help the user experience with the load times.
Yeah. Do we not have that setting in there already?
I didn't see it.
It might be, maybe I heard somebody talking about it and it's coming in an update.
Okay.
What the heck? So we doubled our load time somehow. Oh, I think that's because, let's run it again now that we have flash funnels turned on.
The other one I was going to ask is there's a button that automatically is checked for optimize images instead of high level. I should keep that checked as well, right?
Is there?
Yeah, as you upload it. It might be when you're entering an image, maybe not a background. I could be wrong on that.
Let's see. Sometimes we make updates and they're surprises to me.
No, it's not in here. It's when you're actually, so click on the image. Then right below the URL. Well,
they're surprises to me.
It was there. I saw it.
It's not in here. It's when you're actually, so click on the image.
Somebody's got feedback going on. Was it a background image here? No. Optimize image load. Oh, I think that is lazy load.
Oh.
I think that's what that is.
Oh, okay.
So 10 seconds. So we're still not great. So we would have to continue optimizing from here. But it looks like our main problem is with caching here. And this might have to do with the my wildcard. Let me get rid of that and see if that fixes it. Let me copy this, delete this, add a CNAME, BW, flash funnels, turn that off, save. Okay, let's make sure that my page still loads. Okay, that loaded nice and fast. All right, so come on, baby.
When it loads, the waterfall tab will tell us what is loading the longest, what's taking the longest.
Good call. What do you guys have your pages loading at?
9 seconds. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3.
Yeah, you really want to be down by 2.
I just checked my landing page. It's at 4.2. Simple funnel.
So now we went up a second. Man, so we would have more work to do here. Let's see.
You know, it's saying that the whole page size is 11.6 megs. That's still pretty big, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is saying I still have Google Maps embedded. So I thought we got rid of those. Oh, I didn't save when I did that. Or did I have this open in another tab and it didn't override it? Okay, here we go. So let's do this again. 1, 2, save. And now I'm wondering if, let me just make sure we're using the new image that I saved here. Okay, great. And let's go run this one more time. All right. Let me just make sure that save took. Okay, those are images now. Great. Boom, down to 3.4. So great example of how Google Map embeds can totally kill your page load, right? Okay, phew, I was getting worried for a second there. So we could continue, right? Again, that page has like looping GIFs on it. These guys, if I really needed to, I could replace those with just really tiny images. Again, that's a trade-off of the effect versus the size. But again, in whatever, under an hour, we ran through a couple of really basic things that we can do on our end. Flash funnels really helps, and now we've got our load time down to 3.4 seconds, which is pretty great. And we could obviously continue going from there. I didn't optimize all the images on that page, but this is a great start, right? So definitely be conscious of what you're putting into your pages, especially if you're just grabbing, like actually I meant to test this out. Let's see if we use, let's say we want to just use one of the stock images here. So let's put like car photo.
Chase, I forgot to ask you.
Yep.
So I have a couple of root domains pointing to the IP address. Do we know if that's, you may not know this, do we know if that's updated to the Flash or if that's?
I don't. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd have to check. So, all right, let me see here. If I hit save on.
Gave us the.
What's that?
Actually, on the last call, Sean gave us the IP for that. I'll give it to you.
Oh, that's right. There's a new IP. All right, so let's check this image out. So this is pretty big, right? So this came straight out of the stock, and obviously that's very convenient to be able to just grab images straight out of there. But just keep in mind, you might be grabbing an image that's gigantic. So the way to fix that is, come over here, grab the URL that it put in there when you selected the image, open it up, download it, take it to TinyPNG or to Photoshop like we did before, resize it, re-upload it. Okay, so don't shoot yourself in the foot by taking photos that were really easy to get and then kill yourself on the load speed. So again, hopefully that helps. Those are 4 easy ways. Resize your images. If you're using Google Maps, until we roll out our new Maps element, just screenshot them and link to them. Again, remember to open them in a new tab. And then move your scripts to Tag Manager. I know Tag Manager can sound intimidating, but it's definitely worth, like Aaron mentioned earlier, investing some time into watching some YouTube videos, taking a course or whatever, because it will really elevate you as a marketer. Tag Manager. Oh, thanks for sharing that. Tag Manager is really the way that you want to be doing things. And I might have Ivan from the agency that I used to work at come on. He's like a Tag Manager master. So maybe we'll do a spotlight session with him. Let's check out the comments here. Okay, Riot. So cool. Riot was that Riot-Optimizer. Thanks for the share. I assume step number 1 is switch to the new CDN. Yep, so we did that. That's Flash Funnels. And that's the new IP address for root domain. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Aaron. Let me hop over to Facebook and see if we have any other questions in here. It is built to load fast, but you can't account for every image type, etc. I learned the ropes of building smarter pages. It pays. Yep. Why we really need to learn to speed up the pages. The pages should be built to load faster. They are, but again, it's important to note that page speed, look at all these factors in GT metrics, right? There's a huge list of things that go into it. High Level has taken care of a lot of those things in the back end, but you could still mess it up on the front end by uploading huge images and then, resizing them down to 200 pixels wide. That's great. They look 200 pixels wide, but the image is actually gigantic. So we want to make sure that we're controlling all the things that we can control on the front end, while High Level has done a lot of great stuff on the back end, and then we end up with super snappy pages. So that's today's High Level how-to. Seems like they never come easy these days, but we got there. Anybody have any questions about page speed or just anything in general?
No, this is awesome. Thanks, man.
Cool. All right. Well, happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week. If anybody has any requests for High Level how-tos, definitely let me know, and we'll be happy to accommodate.